who are speaking. If you have any comments or questions, you can write them all in the chat, and at least in the end we will then discuss them. Depends on how many comments and questions we get, we will choose a couple. Yes, Florian, please, next slide. So for you who are attending, if you're not aware of what is the Equality Within Sport Committee, let me introduce it just shortly. So the committee is about building capacity of ENGSO members, but in overall also sports organization in Europe. And we are having this intersectional lens when we are working with gender equality. So we really want to take in consider different kind of characteristics when it comes to people, when it comes to sex, when it comes to gender, when it comes to gender identity, age, ethnicity, religion, and so on. So that's how we are approaching the topic. We are to build the capacity, we are arranging each year workshops, presentations, especially at the ENGSO annual events. We also provide a platform for knowledge sharing in gender equality. So, for example, this online seminar you're attending today is one of them. We are also communicating with our weekly post a lot about equality. Please follow ENGSO's account and on both Facebook and LinkedIn. Each week we have new topics, we have new content, so follow, and I'm sure it will also give you some inspiration. And we're also having this equality newsletter. I encourage you to subscribe to that as well. What we especially wish from you, please be active towards us. Let us know if you have some interesting events or materials you have developed. Let us know about them, and we want to share them across Europe. So yeah, we also have these online resources on the ENGSO education site, so ENGSO/education.eu. We have publications, online seminars, courses, manuals, and projects. And next you will see just a slide, how it looks like. So on the website, when you go to the ENGSO education, you go to the resources, and from there you can choose in the menu equality, and there you will find more. So what else do we do in Equality Within Sport Committee? We also have policy documents. So what we have recently, the last 2 years, published is a position paper on gender equality. We have also a position paper on participation of LGBT+ youth in sports governance. Also, because we have done research, we also have recommendations on women's participation across Europe. And last but not least, recommendations on LGBTQI+ in sport. We also do a lot of advocacy work. So, for example, last year, we attended more than 20 events where we were disseminating and advocating for equality within sports. And what we are also doing, and why we want to promote and highlighting this topic today, is that ENGSO Equality Within Sport Committee is a representative in the International Working Group on Women and Sport. We are the one who is representing Europe. So we represent and coordinate the Women and Sport networking in Europe. And we also coordinate efforts like we have had 3 times now, an European Summit on Gender Equality and Diversity in Sport, where we have invited key organizations in Europe to discuss so we are not duplicating, we are stronger together and having a bigger impact in Europe when it comes to gender equality. We also had actually last year, we had an EU Balkan networking event on gender equality and diversity, and we had it in Kosovo, and that's also something we want to do more in the future. So if you're interested, let us know. And in overall, we also want to encourage our members to sign the Brighton Plus Helsinki Declaration to commit to equality and ensure that voices and concerns of all women in sport in Europe are represented. Okay, next. We want to know more about you. who we have here today. So I ask you to either scan this code that you can see on the screen, or we will soon, Florian will open the Slido webpage, and there you can also get the Slido webpage and the code. So I will just give you some time. Yes, and now Florian will share the Slido. Okay, so if you didn't catch the code, the QR code, you can do it either now or join at slido.com, and you insert the code, which you can see here in the screen. It's 1795254. So join the link slido.com and insert the code 1795254. Or you can also choose to scan the code, and we will give you some time to answer the first question. We want to know from where in Europe you are. So in which country is the organization you represent today located? We hope to get to see a really from all over the Europe, which I'm also sure we will get. But we will give you some time to type, and if you didn't do it already, please scan the code or join at slido.com 1795254. Okay, so we can see here we have from many countries. It seems like most of the attendees are from Finland. Also, what you can see here, the ones who are the biggest font, those who are the mostly participants are coming from. We have also Kosovo and Austria, a lot of people attending. Italy, we have also students here who are from Finland, Åbo. We have England, Slovenia, Turkey, Belgium, Spain, Sweden, Montenegro, and Germany, Switzerland, Australia. Wow, great. Great to see that we have also from other parts, regions in the world, and also from India. So that's really great to see. We have not just from Europe, also from different parts of in the world. UK also. Okay. The organization represent today is, and you choose which one fits your organization best. So there is a European or international sport organization, or you can choose a national sport organization, or a local or regional sport organization, a public institution, an association, NGO that is not related to sport? Is it a private company or something else? We want to know, what do you represent today? Okay, so most of all attending today is from a national sport organization, NOCs, sport confederations, national federations. So that's most of our attendees here representing. We can also see that they are from European or international sports organizations. Many people are from other organizations, regional, local organizations, public institution, and also from private companies. Really nice. We have a diverse group of attendees here today. I hope every one of you will be inspired by today's speakers. Okay, and we will of course discuss today the Brighton Plus Helsinki Declaration. How familiar are you with that? Are you, I don't know really about the declaration, or are you an expert in the declaration? We want to know, because that's also something Lisa wants to know when she is representing and telling more about it. So it's good for her to know, how pro are you? What kind of experts are you, or do you want more information? Okay, so 50% don't know what the declaration is about. So this is perfect you're here today. Lisa will have and tell you more, and I'm sure you will also after this have more information about it. And then we have 6% who are that they are really experts. So that's great, and I hope you will also learn something more today. But in overall, almost over 50% of you are new with this declaration, and you're here today to learn some more. You're at the right occasion. Okay, well, have your organization signed the Brighton Plus Helsinki Declaration? What I have also noticed that some organizations have signed, but when there comes new people, maybe those who were there before forgot to tell the new ones that actually we have signed it. So, do you know? Have you signed it? Maybe you were there involved when it was signed, or haven't you signed it? Or you don't know. You might be, or but you're not really sure. And if you haven't signed it or you're not aware, I encourage you to go to the IWG's website, and there you can see a list of who have signed it. Okay, so 68% of you haven't, your organizations haven't signed it. That's really great you're here today. I hope many of you feel that, okay, this is something we will sign. And 11% says that, yes, you have signed. Great. We have here from all spots, and some of you are also not aware. So as mentioned, IWG has an updated list where you can find who have signed. And if you're not sure, you can also contact the IWG's secretariat to ask more. Thank you all for your answers. This is gives a lot of information for our speakers to know what you want to hear and what is your starting point for this topic. Okay, so next, we will actually today have 3 great speakers with us who have a lot of knowledge and experience when it comes to IWG, when it comes to the Brighton Plus Helsinki, and who will share with you how the process has been and give you some tips what is good to think about. First of all, we have Lisa O'Keefe today here to start have the first speech. Lisa is the General Secretary of the International Working Group on Women in Sport, which is, as Lisa will also mention to you, the world's biggest network when it comes to advancing equality in sports in the world. She has her previous background is executive director of Insight at Sport England, where she led the globally very known campaign The Girls Can. She's a former top athlete in rugby, an international athlete who knows what are the barriers women and girls are facing when it comes to sports. What kind of knowledge, research do we need to make a change? Perfect, I guess, for a general secretary of IWG, right? But yes, Lisa, welcome. I'm really happy you are here today because I know you have had a lot going on the last couple of weeks when it has been the International Women's Day. So we're really happy to have you here today. So welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. And hello, everybody. And thank you for giving your time today to listen to all of the speakers and find out more about the work of IWG Women in Sport. If I could have the next slide, please. And the next one, thank you. So let me give you a brief bit of background to IWG. IWG was founded 31 years ago off the back of the first global summit on women in sport, which was held in the United Kingdom in Brighton. As Tarja mentioned, we are the world's largest network devoted to gender equality in and through sport. And actually, the best way to think about us is a network of networks. We don't seek to replicate or replace anything that exists. We are simply that vehicle which is trying to connect all of the networks, the organizations, the individuals who are working in this space. Because 31 years ago, everybody in that World Conference in Brighton said the hardest thing actually is to stay connected and to share what we're doing. And despite the fact technology allows us to be here together, it feels almost harder than ever before to stay connected and to share and learn from each other. So that's what we're all about. We bring together people and organizations who are focused in this space. That's what we're about. And as I mentioned, we're absolutely about advancing opportunities for women and girls in sport, but also really importantly, through sport. If I can have the next slide, please. Our vision at IWG, and this won't surprise you, and I suspect because you're on this call, many of you will agree with this, is that sport and physical activity absolutely should be playing its part to contributing to a world where all women and girls can thrive. I believe deeply in the power of sport to be able to do that. It has absolutely been transformational for me, but I also know that if sport is going to deliver on its potential to drive that vision, sport itself has to be prepared to change and understand why often inadvertently the way we run sport is what creates the exclusions and barriers which make it harder for people to engage and thrive in that environment. If I can have the next slide, please. So, what do we do? Well, very briefly, we are about strengthening and supporting the network of networks. So every 4 years, the Secretariat at IWG moves country and moves continent. And we think that's really important because that way we genuinely retain that global view. And when IWG moves to another part of the world, it really does provide a focus and a momentum to this agenda within that country. It's currently in the UK until the end of September 2026. And a great opportunity for us here across Europe to use this moment to really make sure that we're all connected into IWG, putting in the knowledge that we've got, but taking out as well the knowledge that we need. We are all about actionable, applied knowledge. Okay, so this is about pulling together what we know works and sharing what we learn about how you provide the right opportunities that are appropriate to the context in which you're operating. The best bit about it is it's all free. We believe so strongly in putting the knowledge in the right people's hands. So whether that be accessing our Insight Hub, whether that be subscribing to our digital channels, or whether it be accessing our events or those at which we're involved, we believe really strongly in making that knowledge available. So, you know, no surprise today is being recorded and will be shared because we want people to have this knowledge. And the big final set piece for the host country of IWG every 4 years is the Global Summit. The 9th Global Summit will be happening in Europe, so it will be in the UK, in Birmingham, from the 9th to the 11th of July 2026. And it is the opportunity for 1,200 leaders from across the world to come together to connect, to network, and to share what works. Next slide, please. I just want to give you very, very quickly a couple of examples of the sort of work that we do, and which I hope you will say, oh, that's interesting. I'd like to know more about that. So the first one, this idea of connection and collaboration. You would expect this from a network, and this is absolutely front and center of what we do. So whether you're a policymaker, whether you're working on the front line delivering sporting activity, whether you're a researcher, whether you're a brand involved in the sport and physical activity sector, we want to connect the whole sports sector, and we want to help you find people who you can share with and learn from. A really good example here is actually in December of 2024. It was our 30th anniversary, and we held a celebration, actually, in this case in central London, where we brought sports leaders from across the sports system. So we had sports councils, we had international and national federations, members of the Olympic family, Paralympic family, UN Women, lots of different parts of the sporting sector. And whilst we were all there, we took the opportunity to focus on visibility and portrayal of women and girls. And our good friends from Getty Images were there, and their insight team, who know a huge amount about how we respond to imagery, but also how athletes and women and girls more generally want to be portrayed in sport and physical activity settings. They know a huge amount about that. They were able to share some up-to-date, actually not yet published insights, which were so informative for those people in the room who are often the ones commissioning and using images. And I've spoken to a lot of people who were there that day who said it's just completely reordered their thinking when it comes to visibility and portrayal. And we'll certainly be sharing more of that with our friends at Getty Images over the coming weeks. Next slide, please. This is an example of an event which we ran in Paris during the Summer Olympics. Thanks to our friends at the British Embassy, we were able to host international federations and national federations of sport from the UK and France, who were all in Paris for the Games. Here you can actually see the president, the then president of World Rugby, Bill Beaumont, talking about why, for the future sustainability and growth of rugby union, the women's game is absolutely central. He talked about the way in which they're investing in the growth of the women and girls game. And we also had a good discussion about women in officiating and the work that's being done to grow the number of female officials. So that's a good example of where a room of international federations and national federations were listening to their peers talking about why this is so important. And just to wrap up for me, because I'm super conscious of time, let me just talk about the Brighton Plus Helsinki Declaration. So next slide, please. What is it? Well, first of all, it's a global treaty comprising 10 principles, and it's about demonstrating your commitment to the full involvement of women and girls in and through sport. We have almost 600 signatories around the world. We actually added 2 last week. And here actually is One Sport Ireland, and I'll talk about them a little bit more in a second. But if we can go on to the next slide, you can see just some of the signatories to the Brighton Plus Helsinki Declaration. And it really is, it doesn't matter whether you're a global organisation, a national organisation, a continental organisation, a local organisation delivering activity on the ground. This is about us being able to work with you to promote what you're doing, to connect you into the wider network, and to talk about the value and impact of gender equality in and through sport. Next slide, please. So why would you sign up to the Brighton Plus Helsinki Declaration? Well, there's a lot of reasons, but let me just give you some of the top ones. First of all, by signing up to it, the one commitment you are making, beyond, of course, gender equality in and through sport, is to drive action in this area. So to sign up to it, you really do need to have a plan. It might be your corporate strategy, it might be a specific women and girls sports strategy, but you have a plan of action, and you are doing the work. By signing up to this, we promote the fact you're doing the work, because we believe strongly the best way to make the case for gender equality in and through sport is to tell the stories of the organisations that are doing the work and the impact that that is having. Because beyond the fact it is the right thing to do, we think it's a no-brainer for organisations to be doing this in terms of the impact that it has on their organisation and their communities. Your commitment is to share what you're doing and share the learning, because that's what the network needs. We need to share from each other. And you, of course, benefit from this large knowledge bank of other organisations. If I can have the next slide, please. There are 10 principles to the Brighton Declaration, and what we ask is that to sign up to it, the work that you're doing should align to one or some or all of the principles. For some of you, all of these will be applicable. For others, there may be 2 or 3, 4 or 5. But where what you are doing is aligns to some of these principles, that's where it's a great opportunity to sign up. Now, let me give you 30 seconds on 2 examples. So last week, because people always say to me, oh, can you give me some great examples? And of course, they're all different. So the easiest way for me to answer that is to talk to you about the 2 most recent signatories. So last week, World Wheelchair Rugby signed up to the Brighton Plus Helsinki Declaration. What I particularly like about the work that they're doing is that they've taken a research and insight-led approach to understanding why there are relatively few women and girls playing their sport. They then used research from the Peter Harrison Centre for Disability Sport at Loughborough University, which helped them understand some of the physiological differences between men and women and how that impacts in their performance on court, to make some changes to the classification process for men and women in the game, which ultimately, and you can read up more on this on the IWG website and of course the World Wheelchair Rugby website, but ultimately those changes are likely to lead to more women being represented on the court in mixed games. So that's what they're doing at the top end. But to support their clubs and volunteers, they've created gender equity playbooks, which again have been insight-led. They've done a huge amount of research, both inside and out of the sport, to create those playbooks. So putting those 2 pieces together, they hope, and I certainly believe, that will have a big impact for them in the sport. The other signatory we had was Sport Ireland. And they have a long-standing commitment to gender equality in and through sport. Some of you may be aware that they have a women in sport policy, first published in 2019, updated in 2023. And that updated policy has looked at the impact over the last few years, looked at what they've learnt from the original policy and adapted it to now focus on 4 areas: leadership, participation, visibility, coaching and officiating. And what's again been really of note, I think, in the conversations that I've had with them, is that they very much work with the sector. So as they were signing up to that last week, the governing bodies, the national federations were in the room, their local strategic partnerships were in the room, other key organisations within the sports sector, and it is a combined whole sport approach to tackling women and girls participation. So that gives you the very briefest of insights into IWG Women in Sport. This is best brought to life through the stories that others will tell. So I will stop there, pass back to you, Tarja. Hopefully that's set us up nicely.
Huge thank you to you, Lisa. A great summarizing thing about what is IWG and what is the declaration. And I really encourage all of you also take a look at the IWG website to learn more, also to get to know more about the Insight Hub, a platform where you can share great examples, tools, materials for also other to use. But really, thank you, Lisa. I think it will be perfect for our next speakers to really know how has it been to sign the declaration. And we will have two speakers talking more about this. First, we have Kaisa Larjomaa, who will present how has it been in Finland? What kind of impact did it have after 2014 when the declaration was signed? Kaisa Larjomaa is the public affairs manager at the Finnish Olympic Committee, and she's also one of the members at the ENGSO's EU Advisory Committee. She has worked in different fields, not just in sports, also in the youth sector as a public, let me check, I'm saying the right word, but international advocacy specialist at the Finnish National Youth Agency. And she has also worked in universities, a lot of with communication, with journalism. Yeah, you know, a huge background and a great asset for the sports movement. Kaisa, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Tarja. Very happy to be here and very happy to see that we have so many Finnish participants today. I mean, we have been really active as a country in the IWG since its very beginning and have been pushing for equality in Finland, also in Europe and globally, through different people, in different ways for such a long time, since 1994. 1994 Brighton and before that and after that. So we have a very strong link to the IWG and the women in sports advocacy movement, and also the EWS. Just quickly, perhaps. I mean, I have very strong links with EWS, the IWG as well. I used to work in ENGSO. I was part of the secretariat when the IWG was hosted by the Finnish Sports Confederation. I was working there in 2013 and 14 as communications manager. And since then, I have moved back to Finland and I'm working at the Finnish NOC currently, which is actually like the Finnish Sports Confederation and the Finnish NOC have been merged. So we are also carrying the legacy of the IWG quadrennial term within the Finnish NOC as well. So we'll be happy to share with you today some things we have done since then. And of course, since I have been away, meanwhile, for some years, so I received really good help from my colleagues at the Finnish NOC. So big thanks to them for helping me understand the work that has been done over the years. We used the momentum of being so strongly involved in the IWG as the hosting country, the secretariat. We used it very heavily to promote change in our own country. And we also used it, of course, to push for stronger advocacy on the global level. As I'm writing here, the conference gathered vital support from, like, we had such a long list of different partners that we had from international leading sports bodies such as the International Olympic Committee and Paralympic Committee, and also international intergovernmental institutions such as WHO, the World Health Organization, that is, and also UNESCO, which is the UN institution for culture, and sport is included there as well. So we really wanted to involve many different actors in the work. And when we did the work to update the declaration that Lisa just presented, we had these bodies, especially the IOC, the IPC, heavily also included in the process. So we also updated from Brighton Declaration to Brighton Plus Helsinki Declaration with these actors to foster commitment. And we see that, of course, I see that progress has happened at the global level as well. When you see, for example, the work done in the leadership of President Thomas Bach, how in Paris, for the first time, there was an equal amount of male and female athletes. And this is not like, it's not a coincidence. It's like a long-term work done by the IOC. And I like to believe that also this, what happened in Helsinki and how we had this partnership for the IWG, I believe that some of these successes can definitely be also credited to the work of the IWG for doing this long-term advocacy and cooperation. Maybe I will not go further into the declaration because Lisa very well already explained it. So maybe we can go to the next slide. It's probably interesting. I mean, of course, for us, we are signatories as the Finnish NOC and the Finnish Sports Confederation previously as well, since a very long time. So perhaps I'm just reflecting a little bit on the work that happened since we were hosting the IWG, because it was like a big thing for us. And I think as signatories, you can also use the momentum, like whether it's like how also just take the declaration and make it into a thing and use it for pushing for equality within sport in your country. And I already during the quadrennial term in Finland, maybe I will just raise one example. So for example, one of the main partners was the National Broadcasting Company, which is a very big media in Finland. And their sports media, section, they did a big review of how they portray men and women in their own news, and they created guidelines, and sports reporting has become a lot more equal and supportive of women since then. So we see like already during that time things were going in the right direction. So that was part of their commitment to also look at their own work. And then after 2014, of course, it was I mentioned this, that these organizations merged. So the Finnish Sports Confederation, which was holding kind of the connection to the IWG, and it merged with the Finnish NOC. So of course, things probably didn't go as smooth as it could have been to keep the momentum. And but now looking back, a lot of things also have happened. So since the Helsinki conference, we had so much better awareness of the topics. We have more motivation within the sports movement, within sports leaders, and also a strong commitment, which also remained after 2014. So it did not stop there. And of course, the national equality work has been a big focus, how to push that further with an emphasis on leading the change and being the change. Just what was the slogan of the Finnish quadrennial term and the 2014 IWG conference in Helsinki. So hoping to have like leading the change by empowering a new generation of leaders. I will give you a couple of examples shortly, and also being the change and creating the structures within sport to promote equality. So next slide, please. We had national projects, national training programs since 2014. For example, this Lead Like a Woman was a big effort. It was actually 3 education programs for women on national and international level, and it was funded by a private foundation, Jane and Aatos Erkko Foundation. I was in one of these programs as a mentor, so there was mentoring, there was training, all kinds of different activities to have female leaders, women as leaders in the sports movement, and having them better equipped for leadership. And the Equality Due to Decision Making in Sports project and leadership program was actually 2 education programs for women on local and regional level. And it had funding from the European Union structural funds. And the Compass of Leadership is something that has been going for a long time. So we do this leadership training every few years for the members of the Finnish NOC, so for the leaders, the executive directors of the Finnish sports movement, and equality is part of the training. So not just having specific trainings on equality topics, but also including it in other trainings. The New Leaders Program was a big effort that was done in cooperation with the International Olympic Committee and the European Olympic Committees. And this is actually, I saw Birgitta is here. So big shout out to Gitta, who has been a very big influencer in the IWG, EWS, in women and sport, in pushing for equality nationally, in Europe, globally, and for her long-term work and commitment. She received the IOC Women in Sport World Trophy Award in 2017, and with this trophy, she initiated the New Leaders Program, which was a Europe-wide program, and both men and women were invited, young leaders, new leaders, to become the new generation of leaders, more ethical, more aware of equality issues, and more able to tackle them. And also, I would like to include in this slide also the fact that we have been seeking actively positions to have an impact on a European, on a global scale. So we have had since then 2 people chairing the ENGSO EWS committee. So Tarja is one of them, and my colleague Nina Toroi was previously the chair. We also have in the European Olympic Committees. Nina is currently in the DEI Commission, and then of course also participating in the IWG events and structures. So for example, in the Botswana edition of the IWG conference, we had the biggest delegation after, of course, Botswana as the local delegation. So that was a big thing for us. Next slide, please. And then, of course, being the change, what we have done like within, like to really lock equality, promote the promotion of equality, gender equality, but also maybe equality in a broader sense into the work that we do. We have created within the Finnish sports movement joint sustainability program, which was actually just updated last year. And we invited everyone in the sports movement to update the program. And it has like a specific part on gender equality and equal opportunities. And all of the organizations in the sports movement have committed to promoting the sustainability program, and also create their own organization-specific programs based on the joint program. So for example, the Finnish NOC's equality program is our own concrete action plan, and it's revised every 2 and 3 years, 2 to 3 years. And I would like to mention another thing about like creating structures that promote equality. So we, of course, the Finnish Ministry of Education was also one of the partners of the Finnish Sports Confederation for hosting the IWG and the conference, and they were a big funder. They have also been a very big partner in this, and also pushing pushing the sports movement, encouraging everyone to join, and we have been working together. And of course, now we're also working together with them towards Birmingham to have a good participation of the sports movement and the sports people in Finland, whether it's NGOs or federations or researchers and so on. But for example, like for the more structural approach, the sustainability program and the funding criteria of the Finnish Ministry of Education and Culture have been developed in line with each other. So there is a partnership in having a joint view of how to develop sustainability and equality within the sports movement. So, for example, the funding criteria require that all the sports federations and other sports organizations that receive funding from the ministry and that they have their own equality plan. So we are working in the same direction using the tools that we have. We have different roles in this project, and the dialogue and the partnership that have been fruitful for a long time. It ensures that the ministry supports the sport movement's own goals and efforts, and sometimes they also give us a little bit of extra pressure, which can also be helpful in taking things further. All right, I think that was my part. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kaisa, and for sharing everything what's happened the last 10 years. And we were also discussing, you and me, and about that there is many people you have to discuss with to really get everything gathered and mapped, that everything that has happened. And what I think really that when it comes to the lead the change, be the change, to really commit also other sectors in the country, like the broadcasting company, like the ministry, they are essential to create this change. So big thank you for sharing all this. And I think it will be really interesting to next hear from a country that have more recently signed the declaration. And next we will have Maja Pekovic, who is from the NOC Montenegro, and she's the Deputy Secretary General, and she's also in the Gender Equality Commission of Montenegro's the chair over there. And she has both experience in international and sports when it also comes to equality. She's a really active member when it comes to the European Olympic Committee's Gender Equality Commission. She is also the safeguarding officer by the International Olympic Committee and also a member of the International Mediterranean Games Solidarity, Culture and Education Commission. So a huge background from different approaches when it comes for equality in sports. Welcome, Maja. We're really happy to hear what are your experience as a signatory and quite recently have signed it. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Tarja, and thank you, ENGSO, for giving me this opportunity to share Montenegrin experience. Although it's hard to share after Finland, it's hard to share after Lisa. I'm going to be short. We just, as you said, we recently signed in 2023, but I find it really important for me to be there representing Montenegrin Olympic Committee and be part of this discussion that will maybe create us better champions to gender of equity for women and girls. Our journey when it comes to gender equality started recently, as I said, 3 years ago in 2020 with our strategic document. That's why I don't have a presentation. It's going to be just one slide and I will share everything and not much to talk. But it started really recently, and we recognize the importance of gender equality in sport. Especially we are a Balkan country it's different, so much different with Finland. Between Finland and Montenegro, I talked with Nina. Nina and I are in the same commission, and what are our issues? There are not issues in Finland, and it's hard maybe to connect, but to begin to go back. So we started in 2020 to try to be proactive when it comes to gender equality. Then I saw, Lisa, on one of your slides, Anna-Marie Phelps, who was, she introduced actually this declaration to us, and recognized it as some future step in improvement our how to say it, international presence, or maybe to include international experience in our international approach in our policies and activities that we are developing. I'm always saying Montenegro is a small country. We are small NOC, but we always believed in power of sport. So to make a change, to inspire and to break down barriers. So as one traditional society, we think maybe sport can be how to say, easiest or more accessible platform to start a change from there. That's why we focus on this, because as you know, it's more gender equality in sport. It's more than athletes, female athletes, and or number of female athletes. It's in Montenegrin case is changing of the mindsets, changing of the culture, creating leadership opportunities, safeguarding. You mentioned that I'm IOC certified safeguarding officer, because I find it important to have both roles, so I can understand every single challenge the female athletes can have better. So as I already said, the greatest challenge that we have is signed the declaration. It's really important. It's the most important document that I signed as a witness, and the first document that I framed and put it on my wall in my office. So it's really a really important for us. But it's just the first step. We have a lot to do. We didn't develop a policy yet because I was waiting to gain some experiences, to hear other voices, to I don't know, experience something on the field, experience something internationally, so we can create policy that's really real, that we can integrate all the principles in it, integrate them in real life, so they can have a lasting impact on our society and sporting community, but also on the society in general. So that. But one important thing that we started, and I'm very proud of that project, also inspired by Anna-Marie Phelps, it's that we developed a project Empower Her for female athletes' health. So last year we have education seminars. We have professors from Harvard and Boston Children's Hospital. Really, they're part of the team of Katie Ackerman. So they're all pretty included and resourceful, so they can share knowledge with our community. And one of the impacts of that activity was that we signed an agreement with one of the medical institutions to create protocols and then provide medical, I don't know, the checkups or medical care for our female athletes, and we will continue to work on that as much as possible in this year as well. I said that I will be short, but it's really important. I encourage everyone to sign. It's not just like signing, putting our name on some international commitment. It's really important for us. We have created a strategic document, but we try to include all the principles in our action plans every year. So try to work principle by principle, not all at once. As Lisa said, it's hard to commit to all at once, but to introduce one by one, and in the field that is more in need, or maybe that we can make a change faster. So that's for the introduction from me. I'm looking forward in 10 years to share, like Kaisa, maybe a lot of slides, a lot of projects, and a lot of progress that we made through the 10 years. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maya. And I just have to say, if you signed it last year, I think you have done really huge steps just in like 1 year. So I think that's really, wow, that's great. You're really soon coming to those same kind of length of PowerPoint as Kaisa just had. So
looking forward to it. Yeah. Saying Tarja, yes, I know that we are on schedule, but I'm always saying it's not just for sporting community. I'm especially sensible to this project. I have 2 daughters, and I'm always thinking what society, what I am leaving to them. So what future I'm leaving to them, and I don't want them to have struggles. I have maybe smaller struggles that my mom had or my grandmother, but I don't want them to feel injustice, to feel discrimination, to feel anything like we felt during in this environment or other environment, private environment, even in Montenegro, in some families, to feel that injustice that we felt growing up. Yeah.
Thank you, Maya. And I think that's a really key message motto to have with you all the time when working with this topic, to leave a better sports when it comes to equality, really a sports for all for the next generations. So thank you, Maya, for sharing that. Okay, next we will have a discussion with all of our great speakers. And before I start asking these questions, I would ask Florian, can you check in the chat? Did we have some comments for the speakers or some questions? I saw that there were some comments, but would you be able to pick some of them?
Yes, of course. I can share one here from Flo, who says, I'm working for a company that is a sport media company with expertise in video production and media distribution of international sport events. Would we also be able to sign the Brighton Plus Helsinki Declaration?
Lisa, I think this question is for you.
Thank you, Tarja. And the simple answer to that is yes. We would love you to. What we would also love you to do as part of signing that is to talk about the way in which you consider the way in which you portray and give visibility to women's sport through the work that you do. Because frankly, that's what's going to help encourage others to think differently, because I still think there's quite a lot of kind of dated views in the commissioning of imagery and video film productions. So if you've got a better way of doing that really does present women and girls in the way that we know they want to be, we would love you to be a signatory and to talk about how you're going about that.
Thank you, Lisa. So just short, you don't need to be a sports entity to be able to sign it, right? Yes.
Yeah. That's really important, because we know in sport and physical activity there are so many different organizations that play an important role in either promoting the opportunities to women and girls to be active, to give visibility to the roles that women and girls inhabit in the sporting system and why they bring so much to our communities. So really, any organisation that's part of that system of sport and physical activity who are doing proactive work in this space, that would like to be part of this network and are really happy to share what they're doing with others and encourage others to learn from their example, we would love to have them in our network.
Thank you so much, Lisa. And I think that's really important to also for everyone you attending here today and who are considering or want really to sign the declaration, encourage also your partners outside of sports to sign, because the better is that we are many who is doing it, it will be easier to make a change when many of us are involved. So thank you, Lisa, for clarifying that. Okay, Florian, did we have any other comments or questions?
Not at this point, no. No other question, but there is a comment from Kaisa, actually. Maybe, Kaisa, you want to elaborate on it, reflecting on Maya's presentation and mentioning or specificizing a little the case of Finland. I think it's very interesting also to show that there is always room for improvement.
Thanks a lot, and thank you, Maya, so much for your presentation. I mean, like it's really, of course, we cannot compare your country and my country. It's not, and we should not. Like, everyone has their own journey, everyone has their own challenges. Everyone needs to identify, like, from the Brighton Plus Helsinki Declaration, kind of like, what am I like? Am I like, can I focus on everything, or is there something that I really need to focus and prioritize? And it might be different things for different countries, and then everyone has different resources as well, and others have abundant resources, and others have very small and need to rely on voluntary work, for example, to push for change. And of course, like in Finland, we have had like very strong public support in terms of funding and in terms of kind of mental support as well. So we've been very privileged in that we are taking things in the same direction. But also, like, we're not ready. We're not there yet. We're taking, like, it's really hard to measure, like, which ones of our actions. It's easier to tell about the actions than kind of like talking about the actual impact. Like, can we, for example, that if we have managed to increase the proportion of women in sports federations boards from 1/6 to 1/3, so from 6% until from 12 to so not trying to remember the numbers, but yeah, about 1/6 to 1/3 from 95 to 2017. So and we see that that's not like adequate, like to have 1/3 of women. It's already better than in some other countries, but we're not settled with that. We want, like, to have half and half, so we have the full potential of women in sports leadership. So we need to keep on working on that, and we're trying to find new ways to do it in different ways, whether it's training, education, whether it's structural changes, new strategies, whatever is needed. And of course, everyone's like to find inspiration from other organizations, from other countries. That's also useful for us to find new ways to keep on working and to keep the momentum. And of course, 2026, then road to Birmingham, as we're calling it. We want to proceed towards the big IWG event and take it as a possibility also to boost the national work, to review our like how we've been doing well, what's there to improve since 2014, and also then try to encourage a good amount of people to join, so we can get the inspiration and motivation to keep on working after 2026 as well.
Thank you so much, Kaisa, for that input. It's really important also to be remember that no matter what stage we are in when it comes to equality, we always learn from each other, no matter what is the stage. And also we know, for example, in Finland, we have in different sports, we have everyone is on different level when it comes to equality. And also when we check the map, there is also really different levels. So we have still, as Kaisa said, a long way to go, and we always learn from each other, no matter what the level is. Thank you, Kaisa. Any other questions, Florian, or comments?
There's a question actually that would be a good transition to, I think, a question you wanted to ask the speakers yourself.
Yeah.
About the learnings along the way since signing the declaration. So I will then give you the floor to proceed with that question, Tarja.
Thank you. Yes, exactly. That was one of the questions we wanted to ask, especially Kaisa and Maja. Is there anything you would have done differently in the process, a learning which could benefit any other future signatories? Kaisa, do you want to start?
Well, I'm like not the best person to answer because like I've had such a a big break from the work in the Finnish level. I was in the IWG secretariat in 13-14. Then I was later in working in a university. Then I was in Brussels. Now I'm back in the Finnish NOC. So of course it's like a little bit. I don't have the best ability to evaluate that. But of course, like things we can always do things better, of course, always. And like what I can say from the experience when I left when the IWG left Finland and when I left the IWG secretariat, of course, like part of the issue was that we were in the big turmoil, as I mentioned. The Finnish sports sector had a big organizational reform, and we lost a lot of people in that. So we lost a lot of the networks. We lost a lot of the capacity, all that experience, and so I don't know if we could have done it any better, probably, but like if we would have been able to prioritize that work, then perhaps we would have had more continuity in the work.
Thank you, Kaisa. Yeah, that's good. Good thing for also your others to be aware of and take this in consideration. Maja, what do you think? What was the main learnings for you, and is there something you would have done differently, and some tips for others who want to sign the declaration?
I will sign it earlier. So yeah, that's the tip. But I think that we signed it in the right moment when we are mature enough to deal with these challenges here in the NOC of Montenegro. And I think that signing the declaration gave us some kind of more structure, institutionalized approach to our efforts to deal with all the challenges that gender equality in Montenegro is bringing. So as I said, we started with something without any knowledge. Then this helped us, and Lisa and her team, and Anna Marie that I already mentioned, new Tarja, Florian, ENGSO, whoever the networks that we build, that we are talking about all the time, they gave us tools how to create something impactful, which can be adapted to Montenegrin context, which is different. I totally agree with Kaisa. I'm just joking because from my eyes, Finland is so advanced in gender equality. I know there is a lot of room to improvement, but I'm trying to catch up and to try to change the mindset here in Montenegro and a bit the culture to be more Finnish than Montenegrin in this when it comes to gender equality. But no, I will sign earlier, but I think that we did it in the right moment when we were ready, and when we were ready to try to adapt the principles or to use the principles to adapt our action plans and to create some real and sustainable impact, I think. Yeah.
Good, thank you. Yeah, really clear advice. Sign as soon as possible. Thank you.
Tarja,
Yes,
can I just come in with some
absolutely.
Because I've had the luxury of looking at so many approaches from Brighton Plus Helsinki signatories. And I guess there's 3 or 4 things for me that I've just scribbled down in no particular order. But the first one is just kind of start somewhere. So what I really like about the approach that Maya and our colleagues are taking is that they are thinking about all of the principles and they are thinking about the longer term, but they've started somewhere that makes sense, that is important for them, and will create momentum in this space. So the work that they are doing through Empower Her and the female athlete health is the right place to start and will demonstrate the impact of focusing resource in this area, which will build the movement, which is what we want, right? So start somewhere that makes sense. I think my second observation on this is we quite often inadvertently focus on trying to fix the women and girls. There's nothing wrong with women and girls. They're not the problem here. It's the sports systems that we create. So really focusing ourselves on the systems and how they create opportunities which are either the right ones for lots of different groups of women and girls, or where they create barriers is where we need to focus our attention. And we know that change is not linear. So we might make gains quite quickly, but they can also fall back. So here in the UK, we actually have fewer women in senior leadership positions in sport than we had if I was to look at this 3 or 4 years ago. So, you know, we're having to ask ourselves some questions and work hard on understanding what that is. So it can take time and it can be frustrating. But the best way to go about this is to remind ourselves that we all know this is the right thing to do, but we have to be able to demonstrate the value and impact of more women and girls being involved in all aspects of sport, because sometimes that's what the decision makers will be looking at, right? So we really have to discipline ourselves to think about how we are evaluating and demonstrating that impact. So yeah, hopefully the Brighton Declaration is just a really good kind of roadmap to help people think about the different aspects. And you know, I guess the big plug for IWG here is the next newsletter, which will be coming out next week, is rammed full of examples. So, you know, please be part of that network and learn from others.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Lisa. And yes, as you mentioned, a newsletter where will be a lot of examples, because that's also something many people have asked about, to see what others have done. And I really like what you said, Lisa, about start somewhere and focus on that and put resources on that area. That's yeah. So next, when it comes to the summit, the IWG summit, which is in Birmingham next year in the summer, if I remember correctly, 9th to the 11th of July. So in the middle of the summer in Birmingham. And Lisa, what do you think? How can everyone contribute to have a meaningful and really attractive, a great occasion to attend on this important summit?
Yeah, well, thank you, Tarja, for the question. Because of course, gatherings such as the 9th Global Summit will only be fantastically impactful if we have the right speakers on the various platforms. We have the right people in the rooms for the 3 days in Birmingham, but also that we at IWG do everything we can and must to capture all of the proceedings and make them available way beyond the 1,200 people who will be in Birmingham during those 3 days. So for us, actually, the first job there is the right speakers. So Tarja and I have already had several conversations about how we make sure that the right speakers from across Europe are represented there, because this is a global summit. And we want to make sure that as many settings and contexts are covered in amongst those speakers. Just today, we've had an interesting discussion about the difference between two countries in Europe. So that's our challenge. So for us, knowing what's happening across Europe and the really interesting learning that's happening will be so important to make sure we're sharing the right information. The second big priority for me, of course, is to make sure there's a big turnout from delegates across Europe. It is a unique event. It always feels like a luxury to me now when we can physically be together somewhere. So it would be fantastic to have as many people from as many countries and organisations across Europe there, and meeting with many others from around the globe. But also there will be opportunities to join this through links and online. So I think I'll probably stop there because I could talk about this for quite some time.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all of our great three speakers. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Kaisa, and thank you, Maya. I'm sure everyone here online today have got some new input, new insights on the IWG, what it is about the declaration, what kind of impact it has, what can we do, what should we do to sign it, and also the IWG summit, and really taking using this journey towards it. Just last but not least, a quick question for both Kaisa and Maya. Lisa just mentioned what this great big summit is about. Kaisa already mentioned that there will be a huge group from Finland. There will be a journey together. So just shortly, Kaisa, what will you do in Finland? And Maya, what is the approach in Montenegro or NOC Montenegro when it comes to the summit? Kaisa, you can start.
Okay, so we have just recently started to build this so-called journey, and we're very much in the beginning now. So we're working together with the Finnish NOC, the Finnish Paralympic Committee, the Finland-Swedish Sports Organization FSI, which is Tarja's home base, and also working with the Ministry of Education and Culture to create this kind of journey. So we're trying to collect more signatures for the Brighton Plus Helsinki Declaration from Finland, and we are also using the opportunity to kind of raise a little bit the equality topic more. So we have like kind of an excuse, so to say, to talk about it in different events to our sports leaders, to kind of remind them that, okay, we have this important kind of milestone coming up, which is Birmingham summer 26, and kind of like also review your actions, like whether you have signed the declaration. If you already have signed it, then review your own activities, like can you do something more, where do you stand, and like kind of just ramp up the work that we do. And then of course also trying to make people aware of the event next year. We don't know if we'll be able to get any external resources or extra resources for the participation, so we're hoping that everyone will take into account the trip to Birmingham or the participation online here in Finland, so they save up a budget for that for next year's budgets, so that we are prepared, that we don't wake up in May 2026 and realize that, okay, we have this event coming and we're not prepared at all. So we're trying to do everything we can now to include this journey in basically the work that we are already doing. So it's nothing extra. We're just trying to make it happen in the context of the work that we already do for equality. So include it in the events that have already been planned, and so on. So that's it.
Thank you, Kaisa. What about Maya, Montenegro or NOC Montenegro? What's your thoughts around the summit?
So we want, as I said before the summit, to have a really good gender equality policy now ready, and something that can be real and that can be really implemented. When it comes to summit, I hope that we will that I will try, not that I will succeed to maybe introduce that to our executive board and to tell them that members of our commission, we have a JEDI commission here in Montenegro, to go to see, to network with other people, and to hear it's not just like we wake up one day and decided that we want to fight for our rights, that we have really challenges as females, because we have males in our Gender Equality Commission, and to see what is the global approach, how it can be adapted to Montenegrin context. And as I said, we have a lot of cultural challenges first here, so maybe to train them with this summit to become advocates and to share the message. Yeah, that's the
Perfect. So you have a lot going on before the summit. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, great. Thank you once again to our great speakers. And now we again want to hear from our audience what you have learned. And we again ask you to meet us on Slido. You can scan this QR code, and soon Florian will change to the Slido side, and there will also be the QR code, but also the slido.com site, and also the code you will insert there. So we really want to hear now what are your thoughts now after these great presentations from the speakers. So you can either scan the QR code to the left or join at slido.com, and you can see the code there below, 1795254. First of all, we want to hear from you. One word to describe a learning from today's discussion. What did you learn and use with one word? And as mentioned, if you didn't get the QR code, you can also put the code join at slido.com. Okay, that's great. So as I mentioned earlier, the biggest word will be that most of the people have replied, that would be biggest. So inspiring. I mean, that's what's also what we wanted for today, that get you inspired. So I'm really happy to hear that. Connection, insightful, powerful, progress, motivation, enlightened, equality, encouraging, Brighton, diversity, Birmingham, networks, interesting, informative. That's really great to hear and insightful. So really, to your speakers, thank you for sharing all this. You had a great impact on the audience today. Okay, next question. What action will you or your organization undertake to attend the IWG Global Conference in 2026 in Birmingham in July 9 to the 11th of July? So what will you or your organization, you now heard what there, a bit, some sneak peek, great speakers will be there. You can all have also an input, what you think should be there, what are the needs, what do you need more to get inspired. So do you want to, Florian, share what has come replies? I guess there was maybe some technical. So what you or your organization will undertake to come to the summit? Okay, I don't know if we lost Florian actually. I don't know. Can you, Palona, see?
I think we lost Floriania. I saw
Okay, no worries. That happens. So no worries. Okay, but you can also write here in the chat what kind of what you will do or your organization, and you can also inspire other people on the same time. But thank you really much for sharing. We are really happy to hear that this was an inspiring occasion for you. I hope you got also some learn from the speakers, and please be in touch with us. We will send you afterwards just a short follow-up. We will also put there two surveys. We would really want to have your feedback, how we can do better the next upcoming online seminars, but also because we are getting from SERV operating grant, so we also would love to get your input also on that one. There will be a recap on this occasion. It will be later on this recording, but also an article. We will approximately next week, the thing is to publish it. So please take part and share also with others. If you had some colleagues that were not able to attend today, please share with them so they also get more information what this is about. As I mentioned also at one point, we have the EWS newsletter, and we will also have there what is going on in Europe. If you have some interesting events, webinars, materials, please share with us. We are happy to disseminate and share it across Europe. And also send also to Lisa and her secretariat to the IWG, and they can also share it in their channels and Insight Hub. Thank you so much. I'm really happy to see that we were so many here today. I wish you a great day. Thank you for attending, and good luck with signing the declaration. I hope to see you in Birmingham next summer. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank